So today is a special day for the Cali Globe community. We have a special guest on the channel, Mr. Andrew Alinda. Andrew's 29. He's from Essex. He's a calisthenics athlete slash YouTuber. He's been training calisthenics for over 2 years now. He's built an incredible online social media presence through his YouTube channel and his Instagram called Cali to the Crowd. He's gained over 6,500 YouTube subscribers and he's gained over 2,200 subscribers on Instagram. Andrew, thanks for being here. Welcome to Cali Globe. How are you today,
Leon,
mate?
Leon, first of all, thanks for inviting me over. That was actually a pretty stellar intro. When
Thanks
you put
very
it like
much.
that, it sounds sounds pretty hoity-toity. But it's great to be here, man. Thanks again for inviting me on.
Thanks for accepting, for being our first podcast. It's great to have you on. So let's start a bit about your background. What did you previously do before you started calisthenics?
Before calisthenics, I was really big on football. Football was my thing. Um,
Yeah,
I I've always been into sport. I think it's one of those things where it's like when you're a kid, you ask a kid, "Oh, what do you want to be?" "Oh, I want to be a footballer." I was I was shit at football, but
I, s-
carry on.
I saw you, I think I saw you write a status or a quote saying, or a comment that you still play football 2 times a week. Is that right?
Yeah, so I play more like one time a week now. Just because I just found I couldn't recover from 2 times a week and calisthenics.
I,
It was just way too much.
I was going to say, how's your recovery from training at football and calisthenics?
Yeah, the balance was really, really difficult. I think taking it down to 1 day a week. I mean, calisthenics and football don't particularly go well together anyway. You don't
No,
want
they
to be
don't.
really building massive legs. And
No, it's
football
not.
does build you legs.
Calisthenics, it's not good for having big legs, my bro, is it? Makes everything
No.
10 times harder.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's certainly just something that I just love doing and I find it really valuable. So I keep it going, and when you like it, you do it regardless of whether it's going to impact other things or not.
What days do you train that?
In fact, I've got football tonight. So after
Right.
this conversation, I've got some other meetings that I need to deal with, and then off to go kick a ball about.
Commitment, brother. I like it. Do you ever get worried about you'll injure yourself in calisthenics? Like you can't train calisthenics because you've injured yourself during football?
Do you know what it is? It's probably a little bit of arrogance. Knock
Right.
on wood, I've never ever broken a bone. I've never had a long-term injury.
I haven't.
Um, but this, watch, I'll break my leg now tonight.
No, I
Um,
don't need that.
but yeah, I've never had a long-term injury. So I play football also as I get older. I play football in a more intelligent way. So before, when I was a kid, I'd run like, like my house was on fire. But now it's a lot easier to kind of lay back, just really get into it, and just enjoy the fact that we can train in a different way. You'll never ever catch me doing cardio. So
Yeah.
football is my cardio.
You know what? It's one thing that scares me is injuring myself. I'm so cautious about everything I do daily, where I position my feet, where I position my hands, walking the dog. I'm just very cautious about everything I do because I just don't want it to affect my training pretty much.
Yeah, yeah. And when you got goals like that, it's certainly something that you want to keep protective about. Because an injury is a fast way to railroad your goals, man.
Depends what your priorities are. Calisthenics for me comes first, 100%. But if you stop football, you'd have more time for training then. How long do you train for? Well, this is coming into the questions, so we'll move on from the background section. But I am curious, did you go to university, Andrew?
Yeah, I did. I studied everything I did in university. I don't use today. I studied economics at an undergrad, and I did strategic marketing as a master's. And
Right.
yeah, there's nothing from either of my degrees that I use today. Um,
You know what, brother? Most people go university, they come out of university and they don't even use the qualifications. I know so many people around here being university, they've spent the years at university, become really knowledgeable in that skill area. You've gone back home a few years later, still haven't got a job, and they're working in Asda.
Yeah, I'm convinced that uni just teaches you what you don't want to do.
You can learn all resources nowadays are online. You can learn anything online these days.
You can. I think past being a doctor or a dentist or some sort of lawyer or whatnot, I think you can get there without needing to go to uni. You certainly can.
And save you money as well.
Yeah.
Right then, my friend, your YouTube Calisthenics Journey. How come you started Cali to the Crowd? What was the reason behind you starting your YouTube channel?
You know what? I always tell people I started it because of lockdown and COVID, but that's actually not true because I started it in January 2020. So I clearly started it for another reason, and probably that reason, selfishly, is to keep myself accountable, right? So I wanted to try out this new thing, which was bodyweight training. I wanted to understand how it would affect me. I wanted to make sure that I didn't drop off after a couple of weeks, and then before you knew it, it was one of those things where I was doing it every week. And once you've got people that are clearly supportive of what it is you're doing, you feel like, you don't want to let them down. So you just keep it going, and yeah, it was fun. Still is fun.
That's really interesting, actually. That's pretty much the same way I started. Is there many calisthenics athletes down your area who you can train with, or are you basically just on your own?
Nah, that's actually a really interesting question because I will train with other people from time to time, but I overwhelmingly prefer to train on my own.
Right.
I don't know what it is.
That's interesting. That is.
Yeah, you get your music in because I think in the UK, calisthenics is still quite niche. How many times do you go into a gym and you see someone doing a muscle up or a handstand?
Never, bro.
Yeah. It's so random to the point where, like, when you do see someone doing that stuff, almost always those, like, you and those people end up talking because they'll see what you're doing, you'll see what they're doing, and then you might have a quick conversation before you go back to training. It's that rare. When you take a look at, say, for example, Eastern Europe or America or in Africa, where calisthenics is huge, all for different reasons. So, say, for example, in America, it's really big because it's been popularized. In Eastern Europe, it's really big because it's actually taught in schools, right? So you get gymnastics at a high level taught in schools.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Like that's why, when you go out and you take a look at some of the Russian or Chinese gymnasts,
Ukrainians,
mushrooms. Yeah.
They're on another planet, aren't they?
Absolutely unreal. And then, but they're taught that in school, right? They're taught how to move their bodies from school. Like, you don't see kids on pommel horses in the UK, but, like, say, for example, in Africa, where it's more out of a necessity, there might not be, you might not be able to, like, that street workout in the truest sense of the form, right? Because there's just bars everywhere. So the kids that are just roaming around, they play on the bars, and before you know it, they're doing like full front lever and full planche on the bars.
It's one thing that is so lacked with the UK. With the West, there isn't many parks. For me personally, around here, there is no parks. There's no calisthenics parks. I've even thought about writing an email to the council myself to ask for a park to be, put up locally around this area. But they're all down south. They're all down London, Bristol.
Yeah.
All calisthenics parks they're all just down there.
You do get that. The calisthenics parks are typically found in, like, inner city areas. So you do see it. London has loads, particularly South London. You see sometimes on YouTube some of the really famous ones. Like, there's one down in I think it's Peckham, where abnormal beings and those guys all train. See that park is famous.
He's really good. He is. I've noticed that park. That's where everybody tends to go to. That park.
Yeah, exactly. But see, for example, that would be my nightmare. The idea of training with that many athletes, for me, would just be distracting. Whereas, like, I'm the sort of person, get your headphones in, get a good playlist going, and go nuts. You know
what, mate? It's one of my goals is to start training with people. The reason I started CALIGLOBE Fitness was to hopefully reach out to people through social media, interact the way I've interacted with you, start speaking to people, and hopefully start meeting people to train. But I still haven't trained with anyone yet, but hopefully it's coming.
Is there no one in your area? Is there no one in your area that trains in that way?
There is someone, and his ego's up his arse, but I won't mention him. That's the problem. Yeah, that's the problem sometimes. People's egos go too far up, but there's always somebody better. So remember that, guys.
Yeah. It's not what you want, especially in an area of fitness where there's not many of us.
The reason I founded calisthenics was because I actually saw a guy doing calisthenics on the field across the road from me. I went over it
when you watch it for the first time, isn't it?
It's unbelievable. I went over, introduced myself. After a few months of getting to know him, he's just not a very nice person. So bye bye, mate.
Yeah, I think as well. Do you know what I found with calisthenics? I think you get the best of both worlds. Say for example, a typical bro gym, right? You usually have the complete shithouse who walks around like he's carrying 2 suitcases, big bro, bench press. Oh, what do you bench, bro? Do you even lift, bro? You don't get many of those in calisthenics.
No, you don't.
But what you do get sometimes in calisthenics.
Ego.
Yeah.
And that is the cause of why a lot of people are very arrogant, is they get to a certain level and they think just because they've trained really hard, it gives them a right to be, to have an ego or to be. It's just not the right way. It's not the right way. I'll probably edit this bit out,
Nah, keep it in. I think there's lots of people that will understand what we're talking about, but you see it a lot.
I saw that you trained with Jake Gay.
Yeah,
you did a collaboration with him, didn't you?
Yeah, so he reached out to me way back when I think essentially, I think this is like the height of lockdown, just between the 2 lockdowns in the UK. And he's a top guy. He's a really top guy. And I think he was debating on kind of splitting up between calisthenics and weight training, because he's historically been all about calisthenics, but he's had a series of injuries. And
I saw that the guy doesn't have any luck, does he? He doesn't have any luck recently.
So if anyone's listening and they haven't heard of Jake Gay, he's a top guy. Got his own YouTube channel. I've chatted with him a couple of times in the past, and he's just had a whole load of the world kind of came down on him, but how he's been able to kind of pick himself up and keep going is actually quite inspirational. Jake, so more power to him, man.
Jake has some really good content on his YouTube channel, and I was kind of gutted he stopped calisthenics, because from what I've seen from his content, he was doing some really good skills. I think he had a good handstand. He could tuck planche, couldn't he? He could. I think he was doing really well. And then I saw that side where he shifted over to the weights. But I personally, I think you can gain muscle mass using bodyweight basics such as calisthenics without even touching weights. One thing I've realised is after training calisthenics probably for 2 years myself now, you can gain muscle mass, not as big as if you were doing weights, but you can reach a certain peakness of muscle mass, and it can spoil over to the weights, but you'll never keep up with the weight side because you're not strong enough.
Yeah, I think if you're talking about absolute strength, weights will win every single time.
Every time.
If you talk about relative weight, and actually one thing I've noticed is that calisthenics gives you, I call it muscle density. I don't know if that's the right word. I don't know if I'm bullshitting and making up terms here.
Muscle density is a weird dude, yeah.
Yeah, but something about like you feel like the muscles feel more firm and they take a longer time to come, but they last longer as well. So for example, when I used to lift weights, if I start lifting for a week, I know for a fact I'd start to feel soft. You feel yourself and you feel a bit soft, versus say for example you've been on the pull-ups, you've been on the rows, maybe you've been training a few of the static holds. You
Do you
go away
like
for a week to recover and you still feel pretty solid.
do you like training with weights, dude?
That's an interesting question. I like training calisthenics and training towards calisthenic skills. And anytime I pick up a dumbbell, it's because I'm training to get closer to a skill. If I could train calisthenics and develop the skills I wanted without ever picking up a dumbbell, I won't lie to you, I probably would. But just having a holistic understanding, say for example, accessory exercises to do with like prehabilitation and injury prevention, almost always going to be better with a light dumbbell.
Yeah.
Like, so if you're
Rotator cuffs and stuff.
exactly,
Yeah.
light dumbbell, resistance band, those sort of things. But if you're talking about truly, understanding the mechanics of your body, understanding your proprioceptive control, building up a body that's evenly balanced across loads of the different joints across your body, then calisthenics hands down every single time.
One thing that I've noticed is I did free running back in the day. I did free running for 10 years. One thing I've realised is calisthenics is a bit like free running. It's a very new, small niche of a sport at the moment. And in the next few years, I reckon it's going to expand massively. So I think you'll see a lot more people who are doing weights now who change and decide to come for calisthenics just due to the body weight benefits and the skill benefits of you doing body weight exercises. Weights are good, but I do feel like calisthenics is so much more to achieve. With lifting weights, it's just very simple and it's not really a skill. Calisthenics it takes a lot of hard work and it's hard work to achieve that skill. But moving on from talking about gyms and stuff, let's talk about your calisthenics journey. I'm more interested in getting these questions over before we finish because we haven't got very long. What's been your biggest challenge in calisthenics, brother?
My biggest challenge, do you know what? They've come in stages. I think the first one was my own ego. So like I've always been good at sport, football, athletics. I've always been good at it. I put on muscle easily. I get lean easily. I had a certain ego coming into calisthenics that, I kind of thought, these don't look so hard. I could do them. And I remember I thought, you know what? I'll make the first skill I learn be something super easy. I'll make it be an L sit.
We'll get
I could
to
do
that.
an L sit. And I think my biggest challenge was my ego. Like actually stepping back and being like, nah, you need to back off. You need to check yourself and really understand that this is hard. People work years for this, and you can't rock up here and suddenly start.
One thing that I've learned is we're on about ego again. I think every calisthenic athlete gets the taste of ego, but one thing that they need to remember is there is always somebody who's better. So if you see somebody who's 10 times above you, your ego gone. It's out the window. It's on the next train, London.
You know what it is as well? Like when you see something that for me will certainly always be humbling. Have you ever gone into a gym and you see like the old man knocking out 15 clean pull-ups?
Yeah.
And you're just there like, no, that is what I want. Like that is what I'm doing it for.
Like how is he?
Yeah. Like, I want to hit pension age and still be able to knock out 15 clean pull-ups. That is what I'm doing it for, and you can't get that from a dumbbell.
No, you can't. You can't beat body weight exercises, can you, dude? You just
Nah,
can't
not at
beat him.
all.
What's your current fitness goal and what exercises are you currently doing to achieve that goal, bro?
Oh, current fitness goals. So I've got a couple. I'd say
I've
the
seen
main one.
I've seen you coming for the middle splits.
Yeah. So that one, I'm not a flexible guy. I'm not. But equally, it's one of those where like I want to show that people who like I'm not sure if any of your listeners would have seen any of my middle split videos, but I my day one was not good, but I've been training it for about 2 weeks now,
Right.
and I've made progress. Like
You will
even in those 2 weeks,
how many times are you training?
about twice a week. It's hard because like training for that, but still, a lot of people think flexibility training is just kind of like standing
It is
there
it
and
is tough.
stretching.
It is
Yeah,
very tough.
there's layers to it, and I think
And
doing
it
that,
hurts, guys. So remember that. If you're a
yeah, and
man, you'll
it's
know
supposed
why.
to hurt. Yeah, especially middle split. But and it's supposed to hurt, but not obviously to an excessive
Yeah.
degree. And I think for me, where the problem is finding that balance between calisthenics strength training, flexibility training, and then football. I want to do all these things, and I don't want to take the gas on any of these things. And then I've got a demanding day job, and then as I'm sure you guys can all understand, like family and life comes at you quite
How
quickly.
we've got some questions coming to you about this, so keep that safe, brother. Keep that
I'll
safe.
keep it. I'll
What was it
keep it
going to
short.
say? What exercises are you performing to achieve the middle splits at the moment?
Yeah, so at the moment I'm doing a fair amount of
Yeah.
Horse squats, and an exercise called the pissing dog, which I really love.
Uh,
Really gets your glute medius.
that's not a real name. You made that.
Mate,
That's a killer.
mate, so I stumbled across the exercise from watching somebody called God, what's her name? I've forgotten her name now.
Pissing
But
dog.
she
Pissing dog.
guys, Google that exercise. It's I've never the cramp you get from doing this exercise is unreal, but hey, it helps, so I do it. It's not flattering, doesn't look nice, but it works.
Nice. Have you thought about trying straddle good mornings with a weight vest on?
Yeah, so I do like the good morning exercise.
Yeah.
The only thing I'll say about it is that like in I think that would be good if I already had a wide stance.
Right.
My stance, my ability to open my legs wide is really limited. I can't do it. So I'm focusing more on my leg adductors first and the ability to strengthen the muscles that open and close the legs before then working on that hip flexion and tilting the hip forward and back.
Yeah.
Because I think that straddle good morning is quality
Yeah.
for things like, say, for example, if you ever want to learn how to pancake.
Yeah.
So I know you're really good at that.
Yeah.
I've seen your pike to handstands and whatnot.
Thank you.
Those are solid exercises with building compression strength, getting you to a place where you can really fold forward and leverage your hamstrings and your quads in a way that can actually lift them up, in especially if you're upside down as well. But I'm just not at that level of flexibility yet, so it will come soon.
Do you currently stretch on your off days, or do you stretch after you've trained?
So I typically stretch in the morning. So I have a quick stretch in the morning, and then what I tend to do is try and stretch a little bit during the day. So like even where you see me here, this is my makeshift office right now. It's kind of used as a dump room where I dump all my stuff. Like there's my weight vest over there and whatnot. But so I'll be in a call. Say for example, I'm in a meeting like this. Obviously not this one. But I'm in a meeting at work. Flick the camera off, and I'll go over there and like just stretch a little bit. They I'm still engaged in the meeting. They don't need to know what I'm doing.
So health and lifestyle. How do you balance a work life, training calisthenics, and being a YouTuber?
It's hard. It does feel like I've got two jobs. It really does. So for example, I'll finish work. So for example, today I finished work. we've had this catch up. This is like a work meeting, you know. That is a lovely conversation. And I think it's like one of those where it's like, I want to embrace this like it's my job with the same level of professionality that I would with my job, because I want to take it seriously. You know, it's fun. Yeah, don't get me wrong, but it's like, I hope my boss isn't listening, but I throw more energy at calisthenics than I do my job. So, for example, I've got more energy in this conversation than I've had on any other meetings that I've had today. Do you understand this?
Yeah.
It's and then you've got to balance that with like, I've obviously got a commitment to my partner, and you know, even as busy as I am with my job and with this, I still need to make sure that I've got time for her. And then it's different to any other form of YouTube YouTube creation, because your content is only as good as your fitness.
Yeah.
If I stop training today, if I stop going to the gym, if I stop doing pull-ups or whatever, how long do you reckon my channel will last? A month? 2 months? I don't know. But I've still then got to go to the gym and put a shift in. And it's a weird one, because I would do that anyway, but I won't lie to you, I'd probably be a lot further along in the gym if I wasn't working 2 jobs, you know.
You know what, brother? Fair play. You're a grafter and you do really well. I find that pretty impressive. You play football, you know what I mean? You've got a job, you're getting married, you know, you all this stuff, you're content creator as well, and you're training, and then trying to balance it all and progress. You're doing really well. But what is it?
Sorry?
What is it you do for a job, Andrew?
So I work as a product owner. I'll let you guys Google what that is, but in a nutshell, it's my job to make sure that companies' websites are fit for purpose for customers.
Right.
Yeah. So it's, you know.
Do you create websites then, dude?
No, I'm not a developer. I don't code.
No.
I'm not nearly that skilled, but I work with people that do. You know, and you'll probably Google it and find that there's some really weird explanation for what it is. But the easiest thing to kind of suss it out is, if you look at any website, a product owner is the person that has made sure that website makes sense. That's my job.
I understand. I do get that. Right, then next question. When are you most productive?
Evenings.
Right.
Evenings, like, which is sad, because like there are times, let's say for example, we'll go to bed and you know, my missus will go to sleep and I'll still have my laptop light on my face. I'll be typing away. You know, I get so much, and you know, all my best video ideas come just when I'm about to fall asleep.
Right.
I'm typing away. I'm always like active in the evening. In the morning, don't get me wrong, I don't waste my mornings away.
What time do you get up?
Maybe about 7:30, 8 if I'm lying in. But I'm not the sort of person that will just wake up at 5 o'clock, do my meditation, and then hit the gym and be in for work at 8:30. I'm not that guy. I eat my first meal at about 12. I'm typically up till really late.
Do you work from home, bro?
Yeah, I do.
Nice.
I work from this very seat that I'm sat in now.
Right, nice.
Yeah, so it's like that has helped a lot, not needing to commute in. That's 4 hours a day that I've got back in my side of the ledger now.
Wow. Okay, fair play.
So that's helped a lot. But yeah, that's certainly where I'm at the moment.
Interesting, mate. What's your nutrition like, and do you track what you eat?
So I try every 3 months or so, for a week, I'll do a food diary, just to like understand what I'm doing and pay a little bit more attention. I say every 3 months. Recently, it's turned into about every 6 months, where like I'll just get my fitness pal up and just get a nice idea of what it is. Like, I'm not going to be the sort of person that'll go into a restaurant and be saying, "Oh yeah, you have a sugar-free version." Like, you know, I'm never going to be that guy.
You have to enjoy yourself, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. I know people that literally their life revolves around every gram that they eat, you know. And I'm like, even if you became ripped to shit, that wouldn't be worth it. That really wouldn't, you know. I think eating wholesome, healthy foods, preferably food that you've made yourself, ultimately is good, and getting loads of vegetables. For me, I'll go through, say, for example, a weekend where I eat absolute crap. But I know, you know what, as long as I've got in loads of veggies, and then that's the way forward. Veggies is where it's at.
I've always found it really hard tracking nutrition and keeping track of what you eat. It's like a job,
It
24/7.
is it is a job, but it's like it's a job that I don't think you need to do.
No,
Maybe do it to get an understanding of what it is you're putting in your gob, but like ultimately, I don't think it's
I
necessary.
think I
Maybe that's
think
just me.
I think if you're bulking anyway, it doesn't really matter, does it?
Nah, just
Mm.
just stuff your face, get the calories
I'm
up.
I'm sure everybody's watching this now and thinking the same questions that I'm going to ask him. How do you relax, Andrew?
So I it's weird because I relax in the gym. It sounds really weird. I go to the gym, like I said, I get my headphones on. So like I'm very much an introvert. You wouldn't guess it. You wouldn't think an
I
introvert.
was going ask that question, introvert or
Nah,
extrovert, but you've just
I
said it.
I get so much energy from being alone. I think it's because I was essentially raised as an only child. So I'm used to spending so much time alone. My mom had two jobs when she was
I'm a
bringing me
loner
up.
as well. So if anybody's out there watching this, we're all together.
Yeah, but I think it's one of them ones where headphones go on. Um, and also, you'll know this, Leon, handstands. Like there's something about being in a handstand and just like holding a handstand mentally. You can't, because I'm not the best hand balancer in the world. I have no choice but to only in that moment think about handstands. I can't think about
Yeah,
anything else. I
yeah.
can't think about work. I can't think about my long to-do list when I get home. I can't think about cooking dinner. I can only think about the handstand. So you go into that handstand and you just think, you know what? Here's where it's at. This is me. I'm enjoying it. And that's so relaxing. And I walk a lot. So I'd say my step count easily gets to like 25K. I'll play football today. I'll probably hit 40K. I walk a lot.
I can't believe you're
Um,
playing football, mate. I can't. I can't actually believe it. You're leaving this and you go play football after. Respect.
yeah,
What's been your biggest failure in the last year, brother?
I think my biggest failure. Um, so I'm really blessed to have a girlfriend that literally is amazing. She's awesome. The problem with that though is that sometimes when life comes at me, because I'm quite ambitious and I'm quite aggressive with my goals, particularly when it comes to work. Um, and like I said, I try and treat Cali to the crowd like it is a job with a level of professionality that I want to attack with a job, which means sometimes if I'm in a place where like I'm like, look, I wanna get a video backlog going, or I want to get this video out today. I'm gonna move the world to make it happen. Sometimes I know I caught myself doing it a couple of times, and recently I've gotten a lot better at it. But I caught myself maybe this is gonna sound so much worse now that I'm saying it out loud, but I caught myself maybe not prioritizing my family and friends as much as I should. Um, it's so easy. Like anyone that's ever created YouTube videos or content will know how much time it takes. It takes so much time.
People have no idea how long it takes. I it's I can pretty much say the same thing about handstands and YouTube. When you are learning to handstand, you won't have no life. If you are educating yourself with YouTube and learning how to set up YouTube and learning everything to do about YouTube, you don't have any life. It is hard
No,
and tough.
no. And what's funny is that lots of people think it pays well. Like I've had people ask me like, "Oh yeah, so are you gonna quit your job and do YouTube full time?" I'm like, No, it does not pay the bills. Like it
And
really doesn't.
and from looking at your channel, because obviously I've been subscribed to you since you were at 2,500 subscribers. I saw you go from 3,000 to 4,000 to 5 to 6 within the space of about 3 to 4 months. But realistically, in the next year and a half, you'll probably be making a lot more money now, dude, than what you are. So there is a possibility in, like, say, 2 years' time, when you've probably reached 10 to 15,000 subscribers, you'll be making money. So you can chill a bit, my friend.
You never know. You never know. Never say never. But I think that was what when we were talking earlier about like things like advice and whatnot. Let's just say if you're looking to go into YouTube for the money, definitely not. Because if I was to calculate my hourly rate, it would probably be like, but way below minimum wage.
Right, brother. There's 5 minutes left, so I want to hear myself with these on Andrew. Try not swear and everything, mate. Try and be dead professional. I'm going to have to edit some of this.
Nah. Swear it makes it more human. God knows.
I'm trying to be very professional. This is why the repetition is very important.
You need the glasses.
Right, guys. Andrew's YouTube journey. How did you find creating your first video? How to learn the L-sit?
Terrifying. Anyway, go and look at that first video. Jesus Christ.
I've been wanting to ask you that for ages. What's been your toughest challenge with regards to YouTube?
Consistency. I think it takes so much time. There have been times when it's come close and I haven't, finished editing a video in a time that I thought would be acceptable. Or say, for example, like I've got my wedding coming up, right? My wedding's
Don't
on a
talk
Saturday.
about the wedding yet. I've got some amazing questions for you. Don't.
All right, I'll park it. But do you know what I mean? You got life events. You need to make sure that you don't forget living, and because YouTube is YouTube, but you need to have a life that isn't digital.
True. What's the best tip for consistent content creation?
Make sure you're enjoying it. And honestly, this is probably the best tip I had, because this actually isn't my first YouTube channel. It's not.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, shocker there. So if you're not enjoying it, don't do it. Because I used to have a YouTube channel a long time ago. Really,
what was that?
It was basically like, so I'm also really big on finance and financial advice.
Right.
Because I'm like the finance guy in my family. My family came to me for help.
Nice.
So I thought, oh yeah, I'll do it for other people as well. But I don't know what it is. I just didn't get passionate about it. I couldn't enjoy it. I was doing weekly videos about budgetary advice and telling people how to understand their workplace pensions. And
how did that go? How long did you have that channel for?
About a year and a half.
Right.
Yeah, but wow. I just wasn't passionate about it at all. I didn't feel like I could keep it going. The research for it, it's not like fitness, where fitness, the information is constant. Far like a new exercise paper coming out, the information is constant, and you can apply what you already know even to new things you're looking to try. Whereas financial advice, it also means keeping on top of the news. The news for me is just pure negativity. I don't like watching the news. I don't enjoy it.
You know what, brother? Television is really negative. I have no time for television nowadays. And if you're watching this, if you watch too much TV, put your television down.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Exactly, 100%. I think for me, like it just wasn't what I wanted. So I stopped it. I pulled the plug.
Fair play, mate. And look at you now, smashing it. You're on the Cali Globe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're going to go global. What are the most helpful resources that helped you with your YouTube journey?
PubMed. So I do a lot of reading of PubMed. It's actually been what's got me into so I'm fortunate. One of my best friends is a sport and exercise scientist, and he actually was the first person who helped me understand how to really read journals and papers on PubMed. because sometimes you see some of the things on there and you're like, well, what the hell does this mean? And he's the one that kind of helped me understand that. PubMed, YouTube itself, I feel,
Yeah.
by actually watching YouTube videos, even YouTube videos that aren't related to fitness. So I watch a lot of like World War II videos. I weirdly am into a lot of that stuff.
I love history. Yeah, history.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I think sometimes taking a look at just how information is conveyed, because essentially what you're watching with that is history, someone telling a story. And that story is so important because you don't want people to repeat their same mistakes. And in a weird way, that's what everyone else is doing. Like in a weird way, that's what we're doing by creating content like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't
True.
want people to make the mistakes that either we've made or that we've seen, So a really weird parallel, but you get my point, right?
Yeah, man. Negativity and haters, family and friends. Did they support you at the beginning of your YouTube journey?
No, no, definitely not. I remember the first post I ever posted on Instagram of an exercise. This was before I posted my first YouTube video. I wanted to see how people would react to me just posting an exercise on Instagram. And I remember I posted a video of me doing a pike push-up way back in 2000 and like early 2019. And I got comments from people I'd consider my friend. What the hell are you doing? What sort of exercise is that? Don't get me wrong, my form was well off, but
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? Like for me, I look back at that, and do you know what's funny? When I do like a press to handstand, a prog to handstand, whatever, those same people are like, how the hell did you learn to do that? Blah blah. I'm like, well done. I remember it. They probably don't. They probably don't remember it. They dropped their comment and effed off. But for me, I'll never forget that.
You know what,
But
brother?
weirdly,
That's
yeah,
amazing. That is because when I first started calisthenics, I got laughed at for doing handstands. Who's laughing
yeah,
now?
yeah, it's hilarious. But I do find it funny how the same people
What
that
comments after?
make those comments, like, and it's not just me. I've heard this same rhetoric from other people. Yeah, the same people. Like, so for example, I had one of those people asked to join my gym. Um, and luckily they didn't end up joining. I think it was just all talk. But I was like, I'm not going to train with you because I know we're not going to train the same, you know. you know. But yeah, it's hilarious.
I've had a few experiences like that myself, to be honest, but we're not talking about me. Andrew, how do you deal with negativity?
So my brother taught me this, and it's something that stuck with me a while. It's like, don't take criticism from anyone that you wouldn't go to for advice.
Yeah.
Um,
Never
the
take
moment you,
advice. Never take advice from somebody who can't do it themselves.
yeah, that too. I think it's one of those where it's like, the moment you put yourself on YouTube, you're opening yourself up to
Yeah,
criticism.
yeah, yeah.
Like so I'm not gonna lie, you get some like criticism. Don't get me wrong. I think constructive criticism is beneficial, and everyone could benefit from toughening up and taking a bit of criticism on the teeth, especially when it's delivered in a way that is intended to be ultimately beneficial for everyone. When it's pure hate, I'm talking about like nasty,
Nasty
vile
racism.
comments. Yeah, so racism is an example. Yeah,
But we're
we
not
get
going to
that a
talk
lot on
about
YouTube.
we're not going to talk about racism though.
Nah, let's not empower them. But I think
No.
it's one of those where it's like the moment you put yourself out on YouTube, you kind of, it's sad, but you have to kind of accept that that's going to come.
Yeah.
But you can choose to take a look at the 4 or 5 comments that come in like that, or the 20 or so comments that come in, like people that are supporting you. And it's interesting because all those hateful comments have done is made me like, I've got a few a couple of smaller YouTubers, yourself being one of them, Leon, where like they post a video and the moment I see it, I actively make sure that like, I'm there supporting it.
Thank you.
And I think it's one of them where it's like, because you're maybe like a couple of months behind where I was, you know. So I know exactly how it feels. So it's like,
To be
yeah, I
honest,
think
you helped me a lot at the beginning of my YouTube journey, so appreciate that. But carry on, brother, because we haven't got much time before you need to play football.
nah, I was just gonna say it's one of them where it's like you can choose to take the hate, or you can and let it shut you down, or
Did it
you can.
motivate you? Does it motivate you when people leave you negative comments?
It depends. Like, so for example, the negative comments from the people I consider my friends, that motivated me because I was like, well, okay, I'll show you, you know. But the say for example, the really vile, nasty comments from people who have clearly got fake accounts so they can chat their crap on YouTube. I look at that sometimes and it used to deeply hurt me, like deeply hurt me. But I don't know, it's water for ducks back now these days.
Can you take criticism, brother?
Yeah, I
Can
can
you?
take it. I can take criticism, and
Nice.
I really can, in the sense of like someone coming and be like, "Look, Andrew, this is crap. Here's how I feel. You can do it better." And I think it's because like that's how my family operates. My family is very straight talking, and we're like that. You know, we just straight up say, you know, we'll have arguments, but then we'll kiss and make up afterwards. And I think that's just taught me criticism. You know, it's just one of those things.
Thanks for that. What makes you passionate and gets you motivated?
The idea that life can be better. So I think so. I grew up in an absolute, well, not in the nicest area. Let's put it that way.
Mate, you
And
won't come to Stoke-on-Trent. Trust me. Trust me. Can't even explain. If you saw my Instagram story a few days ago, then you'd know what's been happening.
yeah, I saw.
Yeah, yeah,
I saw.
yeah.
I think it's one of them where it's like uh in fitness, in life, in work. If you don't believe that things can't get better, what you're essentially accepting is that like you can't do anything about your situation, and that's how everything's going to be, and then that leads to despair, where which very quickly can lead to like a sense of depression. And I'm not talking
That's
about
true.
depression in the clinical sense of the word. I'm talking about you just don't even want to do anything because in your mind you think, oh well, what's the point in doing this? Because even if I try, I'll fail. That's not a good, healthy place to be.
No,
Um,
it's not
so
good. It's not good for the mental health at all.
nah. So you got to keep trying. You got to push.
Who's inspired you the most, brother, and why?
This is going to be a real curveball because it's not technically a fitness person.
Don't have to be
Um,
anyone fitness, just in everyday life, you know.
yeah, this is Arsene Wenger, the
Oh,
former.
oh God, 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 Andrew.
All the yeah. If there was one person on God's green earth that I could meet and have a cup of tea with or a dinner
Oh,
with, or
bro, you're answering the questions I've got coming. I've got.
it would be
Oh,
him. It would be him, and I take it you're not a fan, judging by that response.
I am, yeah, but you could have picked somebody better, bro.
Nah, it's him. It's him. Loads of people when they ask that question, they hear like Barack Obama or I don't know, some like entrepreneur like Jeff Bezos or whatnot.
No,
For me,
there's better people than that.
yeah. I,
I love that. Probably made me laugh at that. That's right, brother. Yeah, a quote that stays with you when you're going through a bad time.
oh, I don't really quotes aren't my thing, but for me, I think uh, kind of similar to the point I made earlier around knowing that life can be better and that we are bigger than we think we are.
Yeah,
There's a quote from someone called Marianne Williamson, and it's like our deepest fears is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we're powerful beyond measure.
yeah.
And Nelson Mandela, I think, said it in one of his freedom speeches. But that for me is a quote that like really hits home.
That's
That
a
like
really good quote as well. I like
Yeah,
that.
'cause, you know, sometimes people are scared of trying because they're scared of what could happen. Whereas really, if they get excited
Everyone's
about,
scared to fail, aren't they, brother? Have you noticed that? No one likes going outside the box. Everyone likes staying inside the box, don't they?
yeah, there's no growth in that box.
You must leave the box in order to proceed. Yeah.
All
Right, brother.
right, Yoda.
What advice would you give to someone going through bad times at this current moment?
Um, get yourself a support network. Talk to people. Talk. I think that's especially as like especially young men. You're taught not to talk. Even in my group of friends, we love each other, but like even when we talk, we always like then cover it up with like banter because
Yeah.
you know you feel like, oh yeah, we can't have soppy nonsense without having banter. But even still, that's better than nothing. Make sure you're talking. Make sure you're chatting to people. And if you have nobody to speak to, you'll be shocked at when you come forward how many people would be willing to support you. Just make sure you talk to people.
Right, brother, we're nearly finished. Try and be as quick as I can because I know you're busy. Lightning questions. Cat or dog?
Cat.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
KFC, McDonald's or Subway?
KFC.
Favorite Netflix show?
Superstore. It's a comedy. It's brilliant.
Oh, as we're on films here, have you seen Sunshine on Amazon Prime? I mentioned it
I
to you.
haven't.
I mentioned it to you. I told you,
I
and
haven't
Anna
seen
watched
it yet.
Right, you got to watch that, brother. Right, Xbox or PlayStation?
PlayStation.
Pepsi or Coke?
Coke.
Calisthenics or CrossFit? I have put that in, bro.
Themes if I said CrossFit. Could you imagine? Nah, easily, of course. Calisthenics.
If you could have dinner with 3 people dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Okay, 3 people.
Or you've already said one.
Okay, yeah, Arsene Wenger, Muhammad Ali,
Yeah, man.
and who'd the other one be? God, I'm gonna say a calisthenics person in there. I'm gonna go. You know what I'm gonna go with? Cy Munster.
Ooh, he's really, really good, you know.
I think, like, I've never heard of someone who is flexible, can do calisthenics, can do break dancing,
True.
Can lift weights, and I'm just interested in how that happened.
That guy is so skilled. He is Simon, if you're watching this, come on the podcast. We want you. Do you have any bad habits?
Yeah, my biggest bad habit is probably biscuits. To the point where like biscuit, I am a sucker for a cheeky biscuit.
What's your favorite biscuit, bro?
Oreos.
Oh,
Oreos.
and mine.
Do you know what's the problem? Like every time I post a day of eating video, right? Because loads of my friends know I love Oreos. They're like, well, that's a lie. Where are the Oreos? And so I don't eat them every day. But when I do eat them, so like I'll go like 3 months without eating Oreos.
Do you still dip them? Do you still dip it in milk? To dip it in milk?
Yeah,
oh yeah, nice.
Can't not eat it like that. But yeah.
Who's your favorite calisthenics athlete, by the way?
Cy Munster. Simon
You see, he's definitely up there with me. But have you ever heard of KP the Specimen?
No.
I only recently just found out who he was.
Is he American?
He chills with that Simon. And wow.
Really?
What's
it called?
Wow.
KP?
KP the Specimen. And I have it's unbelievable. Check me Insta, you'll see him on there, brother. Right, so we've got we're on the 2 last pieces, and then I'll let you go. go play some football. So are you looking forward to getting married, brother?
Mate, yeah. Somehow, sometimes I still get surprised that I've managed to lock her down, but yeah.
When are you getting married?
Mid-May. Then we're doing a whole load of traveling. So
Now,
basically written off our summer.
I was going to say to you, have you planned a honeymoon? Yeah.
Yeah, just gonna go bouncing around the Caribbean for a couple of weeks and bouncing around the UK for a couple more weeks. Then we'll bounce around again. Like we've yeah, basically between May and September, we're not going to be around. There are going to be some interesting YouTube videos on some strange locations coming out.
I know. I was going to say that sounds really good. Enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
Right, we're moving on to motivational message, the last say for the audience. If you could turn back time to talk to your 18-year-old self, what would it be and what would you say?
Ooh. I think 18-year-old self, I'd tell
11 years ago.
So first of all, I'd say get on calisthenics now, not when you're in your mid-20s. So get on it ASAP. While you've still got elasticity and you can recover from a night out straight away. But
do you drink? Do you drink alcohol much?
Nah, not anymore.
No.
So I stopped drinking about a year ago.
Right.
That's more just out of choice. I've got some aggressive goals and I'm not getting any younger. So, I don't know many 40-year-olds, for example, that have learned how to plant. So in my mind, I've got a time limit.
That's true. I've come across a few older people in the 50s and 60s who are really good. Sometimes when you're training calisthenics, it can just be a number. I've seen some people who are 55 to 60 in the absolute beasts.
They're absolute beasts, but if you ask them, they probably learned that when they were younger and then kept it going, rather than were complete pigs up until 49. And then started learning that. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, of course, yeah. It is possible, though. It is possible, but you'll never reach like the physical peakness where you can build endurance like your 30-year-old and so on and so on.
Yeah.
Right, brother. What piece of advice would you give to someone after training calisthenics for 2 years?
Don't think about it as like I've got to get to this point. Like, just enjoy it, have fun, have it as part of your lifestyle. Don't be over evangelical about it. I think when I first started calisthenics, I was so evangelical about it. I'd talk to somebody and be like, yeah, calisthenics is life. You've got to do calisthenics. Whereas like most people don't want to hear that. They just want to hear like, yeah, it's fun. So that's what I say. I'm like, yeah, it's fun. It's not a lie. It's the truth. And if they ever wanted to try it out, I can teach them how to start. But I'm certainly not the sort of person that's going to be like, do calisthenics now,
What's the most valuable lesson you've learned in life?
Don't take things personally.
I like that.
Yeah, don't take things personally.
And to be kind.
Yeah.
Words of wisdom, the last say to inspire somebody.
I think for me, it just has to be
your most powerful message.
Yeah, I think for me, it's always try your best. If you try your best and you flop, you can say you tried your best, rather than the people like finish something and like, oh yeah, but I wasn't really trying them. So what? Why are you wasting yours and my time?
Andrew, when are you going to teach Anna the handstand?
She's not big on calisthenics. Maybe one day she'll see it and want to learn. But calisthenics isn't her thing. Maybe she'll learn one day.
Fair play. As she said she's interested, or she said she's not interested.
She hasn't said she's not interested, but equally, I don't want to force her. If she comes to me of her own accord, she'll.
If any females out there want to learn to handstand, please hit me up. I need a female who can handstand. It's just me and my dog. So any of you females good at handstands, hit me up. We'll train together. So guys, thanks for watching another video. Andrew, once again, thanks for coming on to the channel. It's been incredible hearing your thoughts on calisthenics. Make sure you guys check out Andrew's channel, Cali to the Crowd. He has some incredibly detailed content if you're new to fitness and calisthenics. Thanks for watching another video, everyone. Peace.